Welcome to Short Movie Channel. Our movie today begins with a man stepping out of the airport in Spain. His name is Ryan, and he has just arrived from traveling. At this point, his friend Jack's personal driver shows up to pick him up. Ryan gets into the car, and the driver hands him a letter from Jack, apologizing for not being able to pick him up himself due to being extremely busy. Shortly after, Ryan arrives at Jack's house. He enters and starts looking around, checking out the place. He makes some food for himself and waits for his friend Jack. In the evening, Jack finally arrives. They greet each other, and we learn that the last time they met was 12 years ago. Ryan jokes, "Looks like you've been lucky here." He then asks Jack how he managed to buy such a fancy and expensive house. Jack replies, "Oh no, my friend, you've got it all wrong. This house isn't mine. It belongs to the agency I work for. They move me to a different house every week depending on the job." Ryan laughs and says, "Don't you guys need cooks or chefs at your agency?" We find out that both of them are chefs. Jack responds, "Not at the moment." Then Jack asks Ryan about his job in America, and Ryan says, "Work is fine, but the pay is really low." They chat for a while, and we learn that Jack's agency sends him to different countries to cook for high-profile clients, such as politicians and celebrities from the entertainment and sports industries. Ryan is very impressed and asks Jack to help him get a job at the agency so he can improve his financial situation instead of struggling with his current job in America. Jack advises him, "Don't even think about it. Our job isn't as glamorous as it looks. It's not just traveling and making big money. No, my friend, it's way more complicated than that. Sometimes we get requests that you can't even imagine." When Ryan asks him to explain more about these requests, Jack refuses to elaborate. The next morning, after a morning jog and workout, Jack takes Ryan to a cafe for breakfast. At the cafe, they meet a woman named Alice, who is impressed when she learns that they are chefs. She asks to taste their cooking to find out which one of them is better. They agree and take her back to the house. There, Alice says she's craving a plate of risotto, Italian style. Both of them get to work preparing the dish. Once they finish, they blindfold Alice so she can taste both dishes. She's blown away by how good they are but ultimately has to pick one. She chooses Ryan's dish. The next day, Ryan gets a message on his phone from someone threatening him, saying he must return the money he owes, or else he will be killed. It becomes clear that Ryan is deeply in debt and fled America to escape his creditors. Later, Jack tells Ryan that he got a call from the agency about an urgent job and that he'll be back in the evening. Jack tells Ryan to treat the house as his own before leaving. While Jack is away, Ryan opens Jack's laptop and finds his bank account open. He's shocked to discover that Jack has over 1.7 million euros in his account. Ryan spends the rest of the day at the house as usual. That evening, Jack returns home looking upset. When Ryan asks what's wrong, Jack tells him that years have gone by with him working non-stop, traveling from one country to another, and in the end, he never got married, never had kids, never built a family, or achieved any kind of personal life. The real shock comes the next morning when Ryan wakes up to find that Jack has hanged himself and committed suicide. Strangely, Ryan doesn't seem affected or sad about his friend's death. We learn that Ryan was secretly envious and resentful of Jack because of his luxurious lifestyle and the large amount of money he had in his bank account. At this point, Ryan comes up with an idea that even the devil himself wouldn't think of. He decides to use Jack's phone and calls the bank, pretending to be Jack. He tells them, "I forgot my credit card number." The bank employee asks him personal questions to confirm his identity. However, Ryan fails to answer these questions, so the employee informs him that she can't help him and ends the call. Meanwhile, the person Ryan owes money to in America sends him a photo of his mother, along with a threat that she'll be harmed if he doesn't gather the money. Terrified and desperate, Ryan begs for a 1-week extension, promising to do whatever is needed. The man agrees to the offer, giving Ryan some time. Later that night, Ryan starts executing his plan to dispose of Jack's body. He drags it to a lake, ties a heavy rock to it, and sinks it to the bottom, ensuring it stays hidden forever. Ryan believes no one will ever find it. The next morning, two people from the agency where Jack worked show up at his house. Their names are Maurice and Emoji, and they're from a different branch of the agency. They've never met Jack before. Ryan introduces himself as Jack, pretending to be him. During their conversation, it's revealed that Jack had made an agreement with them to prepare a meal for a group of people, in exchange for 300,000 euros. When Ryan hears this, he's shocked, thinking, "Is it even possible for Jack to earn this much just for cooking one meal?" He then asks for an advance payment. Emoji immediately transfers 50,000 euros to his account. Ryan uses part of the money to send a payment to the man in America who's threatening to kill his mother. Afterward, Emoji and Maurice take Ryan in their car and head to a church. They observe people coming and going from the church. Emoji suggests choosing someone religious as the main ingredient for the meal, explaining that religious individuals are usually healthy and take care of themselves. Ryan is horrified to realize that the meal they're talking about involves human meat. Things get worse when Emoji reveals they'll need two people this time, not just one. She then instructs Maurice and Jack, who's actually Ryan, to complete the task by the following morning. That night, Ryan tries to escape, but Emoji catches him and asks where he's going. He claims he's just going to get some water. She hands him a glass of water but notices how nervous and uneasy he looks. She confronts him, saying, "I know your conscience is bothering you, and you don't want to continue with this job. But every job has its downsides. The world is full of tragedies. People die in car accidents every day, and factory workers lose their lives on the job. You just need to relax and accept it." The next morning, Maurice wakes Ryan up and takes him in the car to the church. There they spot a girl and her mother leaving the church. They follow them to a quiet, remote area of the city. However, they lose track of them due to the many narrow streets. Left with no other option, they decide to pick someone at random. Luckily, they find a young mechanic named Jose sitting outside his workshop. Maurice approaches him, claiming their car broke down and they need his help. Unsuspectingly, Jose agrees and follows them. When Jose bends down to inspect the car, Maurice pulls out a gun with a silencer and shoots him in the head, killing him instantly. Suddenly, the officer named Gallo arrives with the girl and her mother, who had been following them. The movie reveals that the girl and her mother noticed a car trailing them and called the police. Out of the blue, Gallo asks them why they're standing there like that. Morris confidently responds, saying, "We're looking for a piece of land because we have a group of investors planning to build a hotel on it." He introduces Ryan as their architect. Gallo checks Morris' card and ID, which include the address of Jack's villa, then leaves. After that, they put Jose's body in the car and drive back to the house. Emoji tells them, "You were supposed to bring back two bodies, not just one." Morris explains what happened and says there was nothing else they could do. They take Jose's body to an underground storage room and hang it from meat hooks, just like a butcher hangs a slaughtered animal. Now it's Ryan's turn to show off his skills in cutting and butchering. Despite the fear and anxiety Ryan feels, he knows that if he doesn't do what they want, and if they realize he's not Jack, they'll kill him and hang him next to Jose. So, he pulls himself together and begins cutting up Jose's body. Emoji warns him, "Be careful, one of the guests has requested a special dish with the tongue." After Ryan finishes butchering Jose, he goes to shower and clean the blood off himself. Later, he decides it's time to leave and escape from this place. He packs his things, gets in the car, and tries to leave without being seen. But due to his nerves, he accidentally hits someone, and the car crashes into the garden wall. When Morris hears the crash and comes over, he realizes Ryan was trying to escape. Morris tells him, "Even if you manage to escape, the agency has branches in every country in the world. They'll find you and kill you. You're better off forgetting about running away." Ryan gives in and goes back inside, where Emoji asks him about the type of meals he'll prepare for the guests. Ryan tells her, and she says, "That's great, now get started because there's no time to waste." Ryan begins preparing the food, and by nightfall, a group of wealthy elites arrives at the villa. Everything seems to be going smoothly until Officer Gallo shows up with a detective named Ruiz. They're investigating Jose's disappearance. Emoji greets them calmly and confidently, explaining that they're hosting a dinner party for a group of investors planning to buy land and build a hotel in the area. Gallo wishes them success and asks to speak with Morris, as he was in the area where Jose disappeared earlier that morning. Emoji responds, saying Morris isn't there right now. Detective Ruiz reassures her, saying, "That's fine, we'll wait for him." He reveals that Jose is his nephew, which is why he's determined to get to the bottom of everything and investigate all the details. Ruiz asks to speak with the architect who was with Morris, referring to Ryan. Emoji has no choice but to agree and takes him to the kitchen, where Ryan is preparing food. When they enter, they're surprised. Ryan manages to stay composed and tells them he is indeed an architect, but cooking is his favorite hobby. Detective Ruiz, being sharp, immediately starts asking Ryan questions related to architecture and buildings. Ryan tries his best to answer, but when Emoji notices Ryan's nervousness, she changes the subject by offering them some soup Ryan had prepared. Gallo and Ruiz are impressed by the taste. Afterward, they go to join the wealthy guests, who are enjoying their meal. Ruiz shows the group a picture of his nephew Jose and asks if anyone has seen him. They reply, "We just got here and haven't seen him at all." As Gallo and Ruiz are about to leave, one of the wealthy guests, a Japanese billionaire named Nishiko, insists they stay and eat with them. They agree, and Emoji becomes upset with what Nishiko did. She pulls him aside to speak with him. But Nishiko tells her, "This is the ultimate thrill. The adrenaline rush is unbelievable, watching the officer and detective eat the very person they're looking for." Emoji eventually agrees, saying, "It's fine, no harm done." Suddenly, the girl named Alice shows up. She's the same girl Jack and Ryan met 2 days ago, and she came with them to the villa. She tells them she wants to see Jack, but Emoji says that Jack is currently busy. However, Alice insists on meeting him, so Emoji lets her in and takes her to the kitchen, where Ryan is cooking and preparing food, as we can see. Alice immediately realizes that Ryan isn't Jack. When they're alone, she asks him where Jack is. Ryan tells her he doesn't know and explains that Jack left yesterday morning. He adds that he got stuck hosting this dinner party with these people to keep Jack's job intact. But Alice doesn't believe him when she notices Ryan wearing Jack's favorite watch. Suspicious of Ryan, Alice quickly leaves. The scene shifts back to the group of wealthy guests who are dining with Officer Gallo and Detective Reyes. Ryan continues serving them dishes one by one, and everyone is impressed by his cooking skills, including Gallo and Reyes. Later, Ryan prepares a special dessert requested by one of the guests, which is made from Jose's tongue. However, when Ryan inspects the tongue, he finds that it's rotten and becomes extremely anxious, not knowing what to do, as this dish was specifically requested. At that moment, Alice returns to the villa and enters the kitchen. She tells them her car broke down outside and asks for someone to give her a ride or call her a taxi since it's already late. In the next scene, Ryan is shown serving the tongue dessert without anyone noticing its condition. While doing so, he secretly hands a note to Detective Reyes, asking him to meet at the restroom. When they meet there, Ryan can't hold it in anymore and confesses everything to Reyes in full detail. Reyes is utterly shocked to learn that he had eaten the flesh of his nephew, Jose. He runs to the bathroom in a panic and vomits everything in his stomach. After regaining his composure, Reyes returns to the dining area and thanks everyone for their hospitality. Later, Reyes and Ryan head to the underground storage room. There, Reyes sees the remaining dismembered parts of Jose's body, as well as Alice's corpse lying on the ground with her tongue cut out. Overwhelmed with the horror and brutality of the scene, Reyes feels sick again and struggles to process what he's witnessing. He tries to call the police but realizes he left his phone upstairs in the villa. Ryan tells him to wait in the storage room while he goes to retrieve the phone. Meanwhile, Morris enters the room and finds Detective Reyes. Acting quickly, Morris kills Reyes on the spot. When Ryan returns, he finds Reyes's lifeless body on the ground and Morris standing nearby. Morris is unaware that Ryan had been working with Reyes against them. Once the guests leave, Morris and Ryan dispose of Reyes's body by sinking it in the lake. The next day, Morris and Emoji congratulate Ryan on the success of the dinner and tell him the guests were thoroughly impressed with his cooking. Emoji informs him that the agency has transferred the remaining $250,000 to his bank account. Afterward, they implant a tracking device in Ryan's neck so the agency can easily monitor his location. The following day at the airport, Ryan encounters a man who chats with him about his job as a world-class chef and the large amounts of money he earns from it. The man comments, "Man, you're so lucky! I wish I could be in your shoes." But Ryan, drowning in deep depression, looks at him and replies sadly, "Yeah, I wish so too." And with that, today's movie comes to an end. I hope you enjoyed it with us. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel.